the business people believe that they're leaving 15% on the table because you're getting 85% reimbursement. PAs and NPs bring in 85% of the reimbursement rate of physicians. But the reimbursement rate's really not the full story. And we need to speak in terms that are meaningful to our finance team. And so the terminology of contribution margin is a concept that I think is really important, and we're going to walk through to help understand why 15% truly is not left on the table. So let's start with a calculation. PAs and APRNs are paid approximately 1/2 to 1/5 the salary of their physician counterpart. That's based on MGMA data. That's a broad generalization. We're going to get a little more specific in a little bit. But when you look at that, the difference in the salaries, the contribution margin is higher when the PA or APRN provides the service at 85% when you think about the 1/2 to 1/5, right? So the 85% reimbursement rate, because it is less expensive to employ these people, means that your contribution margin is going to be higher.
You mentioned more specifics, so let's run through a few examples
Okay.
to drill down a little more.
So I find it useful to go by specialty because it's the same in every specialty, but there's a lot of mythology around some specialties. So we've pulled data specific to several different specialties. We're going to start with emergency medicine. I'm going to tell you how we do the calculation on this first slide. All the other slides will look the same for all the different specialties. So when we're calculating contribution margin, we start with the annual median compensation. We pulled it out of old MGMA data. And for the physician, you can see by dividing their salary by 2,080 hours, that's the number of hours an FTE works, you come up with $150 an hour. Similarly, for the PA/NP, you divide 109 by 2,080, and you come up with a $52 per hour rate. Common CPT code in the emergency department, this is a low-level code. For a physician, 100% reimbursement would look like $63 for the Medicare program. For the PA or NP, 85% looks like $54. So when you look at first visit in that hour, the physician has not covered their salary and is in fact $87 in the hole, while the PA or APRN has already, even though you've only gotten 85%, generated $2 in revenue. So I think that example is really, really helpful, and we're going to do that every time to see if there's any contribution value.
That is helpful. So what you're telling us is that despite the 15% difference in reimbursement, when the physician and the PA or APRN provide the same service, actually the PA or APRNs are providing a higher margin.
Correct.
So can you give us another example?
Certainly. Let's talk about orthopedics, and we're going to talk about this in two parts because when you're talking about a surgical practice in particular, there's the hospital side and then there's the office side. So we're going to talk inpatient for orthopedics. And looking at the admission H&P, which is the initial hospital care code, we did the math the same way. For the physician, you would receive $102, and for the PA, $87. If you look at the margin, the cost of employing a physician versus a PA in this particular specialty is significant. The margin is astonishing in that you're $175 in the hole when the physician has done the admission H&P, yet you've generated $33 in revenue when the PA has done it. What this tells us, or what it should tell us, is that the orthosurgeon should not be doing admission H&Ps. They should be in the operating room or doing something else somewhere else because their time is best spent doing that. And as a reminder, as we look at this just from a calculation perspective, 15% is $15. So it's not this huge chunk of change that everybody thinks about. Looking at the office setting for orthopedics, let's look at a new patient visit. You would receive $109 for the physician and $93 for the PA. That physician has to do a whole lot of new patient visits just to cover his salary because he's $168 in the hole. Meanwhile, for just one new patient visit, the PA has created a positive margin at $39. And again, 15% equates to $16. So this example illustrates that the practice of reserving new patient visits for physicians, because you're going to leave 15% on the table if the PA sees the patient, only creates delayed access, and you're not capturing increased revenue. So creating a false rule because of that 15% left on the table really just gets in the way of good patient care and good business.